I do have cleaners that I hire. In the beginning, I was doing that stuff in my house. I was scrubbing toilets well into my second year. I still, to this day, sometimes will go in and clean a house. I'm not above that by any means. I'll scrub toilets.
Oh my God, Moxy, we've made it to season 5. Can you believe that?
Hey, look, Ma, I made it.
$1
We literally got 10 seconds in.
Not even. It was like 7. And
you're welcome.
But hey, you know what? It gave me the opportunity to plug $1.com for those who don't know what that is. So before we jump into all that stuff, Moxy, how was your break?
My break? Man, I gotta say, didn't really feel like a break.
Why not?
Because we kept producing episodes. I mean, did you see all the episodes that we put out? It was like a lot.
Here's the thing. I don't think that podcasts should be taking breaks. I actually fundamentally disagree with the idea of breaks. I'm like Ross. We don't take breaks.
I believe that humans need breaks.
Yeah,
that is my philosophy.
You like to take naps. I like to keep on hustling. But you know, one thing that we did do during this break, quote unquote break, is we discovered Clubhouse.
Oh yeah, Clubhouse is amazing. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for getting me on Clubhouse.
Okay, it sounds to me like you're being sarcastic right now.
I am not. I love Clubhouse.
Clubhouse has been absolutely wonderful for me personally. I've been spending way too much time on there, like literally all day today. I drove for like 4 hours today, and on the entire time that I was driving, I was either listening to a podcast or on Clubhouse, taking part in some of the discussions that were happening there.
Yeah, I have Clubhouse to thank for my sanity, because normally what Ruben does on those long drives is call me, and I have very little to offer in the way of casual conversation.
Yeah, most of the times what happens is I go, hey, what's going on? And she goes, sleeping. And then I just start ranting for about 4 hours. So
yeah,
not much. There really isn't much satisfaction there.
True story, bro.
Hey, so now that we're officially 2 minutes into the podcast, we should talk about our new service, $1.com.
Yes.
But we should also address the elephant in the room.
What is the elephant? What's his name? Timmy?
The elephant in the room is the fact that I am not in my normal broadcasting area.
Oh, no, that definitely no one cares about that.
I am currently traveling for work. I am a really high paid, I'm not going to say what I do, but I'm really well paid. And I'm currently in a hotel room in Sacramento. So if this looks weird and then you see the studio that we're in during this interview, you're going to be like, what the heck, Ruben? Basically, I had to go to work. So
he had to jet. It was fast. There was a bread emergency in Sacramento, and they called in Ruben to save the day.
A bread emergency?
Yeah, a bread emergency. I'm sticking with it.
They called me in?
Yeah, you're the bread superhero. That's your job title.
Was there too much bread in Sacramento and I had to come eat it all?
No, there wasn't enough bread. They needed you to go restock and tell them to order more and then set up a display about it.
No, I like my story much, much better. But we do have a new service out now. It is $1.com. And basically it is your opportunity to help support the podcast. Listen, if we don't get enough people to jump in on this service, the podcast is going out of business. Plain and simple. We spent like $4 million building this new studio in Moxy's house. And now we have to make some of that money back. And the way to do that is by going and subscribing over at $1.com.
It's really easy. There are multiple tiers for you to subscribe and help us out. Even if you just wanted to hang out and watch some really cool content or just have exclusive access to the episodes, anything like that, go over and check out. Oh my gosh, you didn't do it.
You can't queue it up because you don't have the ability. $1.com.
You should be able to psychically sense that that's what I'm going to say.
$1
Following. There you go.
Dollar in the jar. Dollar in the jar. Dollar in the jar.
See, but here's the thing: you're not following up with the .com, so you are officially barred.
Oh,
from,
I didn't know I was supposed to.
Dollar in the jar.
.com. You failed again. I can't with you. I can't with you. But please, please, please head over there if you have a couple bucks to spare and you want to help the podcast out. The best way to do it is by going over to
Dollar in the jar.
.com.
There
And
you
hey,
go.
Ruben, I think it's about time to give these folks a listen to our new intro. What do you think?
No, it's time for something good.
What?
It's time for something good.
No, that's at the end.
Nope, that's now.
That's what?
It's time for something good. Go.
Are you
go,
reading the
go.
Google Doc that I made?
Did you write the Google Doc wrong?
No, I did what you told me to do. Wow, guys, we're so prepared.
No, 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 no. I probably shouldn't be screaming in a hotel. Here, let me fix this for you real quick. Nope. All right, there we go. There we go. That's the way to do it.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so what we're gonna be doing, this is a throwback.
This is why you need to go subscribe over at
Dollar in the jar.
.com.
We need more funding, obviously. So this is a throwback to season 3, right at the start of quarantine 2020. We started doing something called Something Good. What?
Season 4.
Oh, whatever. I don't remember numbers. We started doing something called Something Good. And basically, we just wanted to bring you a good and wholesome news story, something that went on in the news that wasn't terrible, that wasn't Wall Street being toppled or 800 executive orders or, whatever. We wanted to bring you something good. So this week's Something Good is from a website called I Heart Dogs, because what could be better than that? And it is an article called Sleepy Police Pup Naps Through His Entire Swearing-In Ceremony. And this is so cute. Oh my gosh. I really wish that I could show this to you. This is from the police department in Bristol, Connecticut.
Hey Mox, real quick. I'm going to interrupt you here real quick. If you're watching this podcast over on youtube.com/MultiMediaMouth, it is currently on the stream. So you can see the pup right now, and the dog and the guy and the people.
Yeah. So he is so cute. His name is Brody, and he is 12 weeks old, and he's literally there to help the police department cheer people up. And I think that is just such a wholesome job for him. I think that that's the perfect job. That's what everyone needs right now. He looks super well behaved, except for the whole falling asleep thing.
I feel safer with him out on the streets already.
Yeah, I really do too. And
what happened there, Mox?
What?
What happened?
What do you mean?
I heard some rough rustling on the microphone.
Oh, just petting a puppy.
Did you fall down again?
I did not. No, I did not. So I love this dog. I have my own personal dog swearing in story. Can I share that real quick?
Sure.
So I currently I don't do this right now because these aren't happening, but normally I volunteer to sing the national anthem at a couple of different city facility meetings and board meetings and city council meetings and stuff like that for the city that I was born and raised in.
Which is what?
Costa Mesa. And so I volunteer for a lot of Costa Mesa City Council meetings to sing the national anthem at the beginning of the meeting. Well, last time I did one of these meetings, they were swearing in another puppy trainee, which I thought would be super cool. It was a big, big German Shepherd puppy. He was like 15 or 16 weeks old. And the entire time he was in there, you could hear this dog. Like, I'm going to feel weird imitating it. But this dog, the entire time, he was like... like loud enough, it resonated through the entire city council room. And
can you do that again, please? I'm gonna make a 60-second loop of that.
No, don't. Okay, but then he started barking, and it was so fast. I mean, this dog was like doing speed or something, except he was a police dog, so he probably just had coffee and donuts. And then he started like yelping and barking a little bit, and of course this is going on. He's sitting directly behind me while I'm singing the national anthem, hand over my heart, straight face. It was all I could do. I nearly lost it. I really almost lost it.
Well, speaking of losing it, it's time to lose our time. I don't know. That's a really bad transition. More friend right after this.
The following is a podcast about life,
Apparently,
I can't not listen to music.
friendship, and tacos.
let me tell you this, dropping a taco is a national emergency.
This is You're My Best Friend. Now here are your hosts, Moxy and Ruben Jay.
Welcome to You're My Best Friend, a podcast about life, friendship, and tacos. My name is Ruben Jay.
And I'm Moxy Ann.
And this week's episode of You're My Best Friend is our season 5 premiere. Hopefully you're enjoying our little mix-up of the format, and we're trying stuff out here. Not everything's going to stick. Not everything's gonna be fun. So enjoy.
If you've gotten this far, that intro segment was supposed to be super smooth, but Ruben and I are not having a super smooth day, so I took the notes incorrectly. But you're welcome. I'm sure it was entertaining, probably.
I blame Moxy.
That you normally do, so I didn't expect anything different.
So this week's episode of You're My Best Friend is brought to you by our friends over at
Dollar in the jar.
.com. Again, a place where you can help support the podcast. You'll be hearing a lot more about it in the coming weeks. Head over there right now to figure out how you can become a super fan of our podcast. Moxy, how are you? How have you been since the last time we talked?
Oh, man. Well, I got sick, and spoiler alert, it's not COVID. So I have a head cold. I did lose my voice. I have a pretty severe cough right now, but I was able to go to the gym today, and I felt super weak, and that was great. So I don't have COVID.
Although, first of all, have you been tested?
I tested myself with a thermometer.
So you don't actually know for a fact if you've have COVID or not.
I'm pretty sure I don't have COVID because I didn't have a fever or chest pains, and I had a runny nose.
So pretty sure isn't an actual definite yes or no. So there's a good chance that you have COVID right now and you went to the gym.
Well, by verifying that I have, in fact, none of the COVID symptoms except for a cough that has developed due to a sinus drip, which is not a COVID symptom.
So a cough, you said you had a headache, you had body aches. I don't know, man.
I'm pretty sure no. I've been doing a lot of researching. I'm like 98%. That's what pretty sure means.
Oh, well, you're at 98%. That's great. Hopefully grandma doesn't die.
I don't think grandma was at the gym.
Never know, man. I know some grandmas who lift, man.
What do they lift? Tamales?
Oh, dude. They're so good, too.
Ruben.
This is the first time in our podcast history that our production schedule actually had to be moved around because of an illness. So that tells you how serious I take COVID. Moxy, on the other hand, is going around to the gym.
Well, no, it's been about a week since I got sick. So,
well, they say you're supposed to quarantine for 2 weeks if you think you might have it. So
my temperature was actually generally lower.
Hey,
time that I was sick.
You could have no symptoms and still have it.
I think they're dialing back on that now.
They're dialing back on everything. Did you at least wear 17 masks like you were supposed to?
I did, actually. I triple layered my triple layered masks. So I think that Dr. Fauci would approve. And I made sure to wear this super cool one right on top. So I got this. It's called the slap mask. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see. But I'm going to do it right next to the microphone so you can see this. Check this out. Isn't that cool?
So stupid.
It's perfect for the gym because my gym is outdoors. And when you're on the elliptical, you don't have to wear the mask because, like, breathing is a thing. And so I just take it off and I wear it on my wrist. It's great.
So since you're outdoors, Shouldn't you just not have to wear the mask in general?
You pretty much don't. I'm at this point, I'm not quite sure what my gym's policy is because they've been open in protest for most of quarantine. And they have a big sign at the front of the door that says no working out inside. But then you go inside and there are a bunch of people working out. So I think they're cool with no masks.
What gym is this?
I'm not telling you.
I need to know the name, the address, and the owners of this place because I need to start working out, man.
I'll tell you when we're off air. How's that? How was your week, Ruben?
Oh man, let's not talk about that.
Why not?
I'm in a hotel room.
Want to know.
I'm in a hotel room by myself in Sacramento. That should tell you everything. By the way, I was in Fresno earlier, and I don't know if you remember, we had a podcast episode in season 1 called "No Good Tacos in Fresno."
Oh, I remember.
Yeah, I can confirm that that's true.
How many taco? Did you conduct a thorough investigation, Mr. Taco Coach?
I went to 5 different taco places in all different regions in Fresno, and not one good taco in Fresno.
Did you eat all the tacos, or did you just go to the taco place?
I just went and looked. No, of course I ate there. Why would I, a certified taco coach, go to a taco place and not at least have one taco?
That does raise an interesting question, though. Can you tell a good taco just by looking at it?
Yeah, actually you can.
Really?
Yep.
What are the distinctive factors of a good taco?
Definitely protein portion. So if you have too little protein or not enough protein, that's the same thing. If you don't put enough protein on there, or you put too much protein on there, you're running into some issues. Also, the way they prepare the tortillas, if they just warm them up, no bueno. If they put a little oil on the grill, on the flat, what do they call it, a flathead grill, whatever, and crunch up the tacos a little bit, that's a good taco place.
Yeah, I can see that.
Also, the cleaner the place, the worse the tacos.
The cleaner the place, the worse the tacos?
Yes.
That sounds like a food and safety violation.
You know, when it comes to tacos, you want that place to be dirty. You want it to be real dirty.
I don't know how I feel about that.
Hey, I'm telling you, this is a real life thing. Just like if you want really good hamburgers, you go to a hole in the wall place. It's the same concept.
I could kind of see that.
It is the exact same concept. Hey, real quickly, before we jump in to this week's episode, I want to give a shout out to somebody who commented on our video earlier this week.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I got to find the comment because I was not prepared.
So if you haven't followed us on social media yet, you totally should. Yes. We have been upping our social media presence like hugely. We post memes almost every day. We post our own content. We post selfies. We post short clips from the best of our episodes. You can go ahead and follow us.
Worst.
Or also that you can go ahead and follow us on Facebook.com/The Best Friend Show, or just search for You're My Best Friend. You can follow us on Instagram at Best Friend Podcast, or you can follow us on Twitter, which we definitely don't use, but do it anyway, because maybe if you do, we'll start using it. Follow us at YMBF Show. Ruben, did you find the comment?
Yeah, and if you're on Clubhouse, follow us as well. We'll put our username down in the bottom. I want to give a shout out to Jordan. He says he loved every bit of this. This is going back to our Ask Moxy Anything question. He said, even the quote weird questions. Thanks for answering my voice question. And he says, yay, I can't wait to hear Moxy's breakup from the douche. So we have a lot of people who are looking forward to Moxy's breakup story coming up here in just a little bit. Couple weeks.
I don't know if that's actually a good thing to tell on a podcast.
Well, you already said yes, so.
Yeah, I'm feeling like maybe no.
Well, it's going to happen. Actually, it's going to be probably about 3 weeks. So be ready for that. Moxy, who is our guest this week?
Our guest is how do I even He is a millionaire, kind
He's
of.
got a lot of money. He promised me $1 million. He owns a lot of nice houses, and he has a really hot girlfriend.
That just about says it. Our guest is I gave him a pretty good introduction when we actually had him on the show, but I mean, he is probably one of the best guys in the business right now to teach you about real estate, about the event planning game, about how to do large scale entrepreneurship, how to make moves in that area of life. Man, this is a guy I've known for years, and I have never been so happy to see someone succeed at what they're passionate about. Succeed.
Okay, let's leave a little information for the people who are going to listen to the interview. All right.
Oh, fine, be that way.
Say his name so I can play the interview.
All right, his name is Mr. Jason Lottman, and here we go.
Wait, hold on. Is his first name Mr., middle name Jason, last name Lottman?
Sure, Ruben, sure.
Cool. Enjoy this. Moxy, it's that time of the show where we do stuff.
Wow, that was a mess. Dude.
Hey, you know what? We don't talk about this stuff anymore, okay? People know that. We don't talk about anything anymore.
People know that we're a mess?
Yes. I'm super excited to be talking to this guy that we have on the show today.
I'm actually really excited. You and I both kind of had the same idea at the same exact time. It was a little uncanny.
It was really one of those things where, it's really weird. As the years go on with this podcast, we tend to bicker more, but we also tend to have the exact same ideas a lot at almost at the exact same time. Or it'll be one of those things where like, you'll think of something and be like, oh, he's going to say no. And then I'll be like, hey, by the way, I was thinking about this. You'll be like, I was also thinking about that. So you should tell people about the person we have on the air, because you actually know him in real life.
I know him very well. I know him up close and personal.
That sounds scary.
Yeah, it does. It is. So this fine gentleman we will be bringing onto the show today is someone who I have been privileged to know for a couple of years now, probably like 5-6 years. He is somebody that I've been on a tour bus with. He's great at driving through the Texas wilderness at 2 a.m. He is also this is why we're bringing him on the show, because he's incredibly amazing. He is a entrepreneur, startup business owner who has reached some serious success levels in the last 2 years. He's done some incredible things, hosted some incredible events, and we're really excited to talk to him today on the podcast. Please welcome to the show, Jason Lottman. Jason, how you doing?
How you doing, buddy?
Wow, that was quite an intro, man. I don't know if I can live up to that. We could just cut it right here, right?
And that was an episode of You're My Best Friend.
No, it's really good to be here. Really good to see Moxy again. Ruben, I know a little bit through the Facebook, right? And the
internet,
the internet. So I've kind of followed you for a while, but yeah, Moxy and I go back to 2014, 2015. I think we started. I know that tour was 2015, but yeah, that was actually, of all the tours we did, that's still one of my favorite, and it's in a unique way for sure.
It was an amazing trip. It really was.
It was. Yeah. I mean, and it can be dramatic. Every tour is a little dramatic, but you look back and you don't remember those times. You remember the, I don't know. What do you remember? What do you remember most about? I don't know. Our energies and stuff like that, but.
I remember a prank that we pulled on you one time.
Man, that video still pops up every year. I
know.
That was really good.
We'll have to repost it on our Instagram this week.
You want to explain the joke?
Yeah. So the guys on the trip, we were always pranks each other during the tour, and
not like this though. This was pretty well done. I mean, I fell for it completely. Like I had no idea. But go ahead.
Yeah, so we were all pulling pranks on each other throughout the tour, and Mikey, the singer of the band Carbonine, decided to pull one on Jason. We had this fastened on trailer on the back of the van that we held all the gear in, and so Mikey got in it and waited for Jason to come back. And Shay, our bassist at the time, was like, "Hey Jason, can you get my amp out of the trailer?" And he was like, sure, and talking about the gig and how it had switched for that night. And then he opened up and Mikey stuck his head out.
Yeah, it was. I don't know. It was captured really well. And you got to remember, Mikey. This bag is like pretty small. Like, it's not something you would think a human could fit in. And then Mikey, who we called Chow, that entire tour,
Yeah.
just jumps out of it and scared me. But it was cool. It was all caught on tape and stuff. But did not expect that at all. But yeah, that tour was great. And I think what was unique about that tour is we did something like 17 shows in 15 days or something. We didn't have a day off. I know that. Like, we didn't have one day off. And then there was a couple of nights in Mexico that we played twice. I think we had 2 shows, like one during the day and then one at night. But it was exhausting. I remember that whole run was really exhausting. It's tough driving West Coast. West Coast tours were a lot tougher because all the cities are so far apart. But yeah, it was fun. It was a lot of fun for sure.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about what you're doing now, because I've been following what you've been doing for a couple of years now, and the first kind of thing that I saw, you announced that you had purchased this property for short-term rentals and whatnot, and I kind of thought to myself, well, that's an interesting business idea. I'm like, there's no way you can get rich off doing that. And little did I know that there's actually some money in this. So let's talk about how you got into these. I don't even know hospitality business really, but what got you into the idea of purchasing these homes and doing these short-term rentals?
And man, I can go way back, and of course my plan has always been the same, but also evolves. The more you learn, the more you're like, well, I can no longer do it this way, but I can shift and do it this way now. And I never meant to get into real estate. I guess you can call it, I'm a real estate investor at the end of the day. And I had this plan. I remember when I had moved to Charlotte, I had this plan to, I don't know, I think I got an apartment. It was a 2-bedroom apartment. I was like, do I want to get the roommate thing? Do I want to, what do I want to do? Do I want to live by myself? But I had found out about Airbnb at that point. And I was like, well, maybe we should give that a shot, rent out this extra room on Airbnb. And through that, I quickly saw how much money I made just by renting out one room. And that got me thinking well, what if I bought like a pretty decent sized house and actually did this thing and just made it an Airbnb? And I had never bought a house. I was in my early 30s at that time. And I still had never bought a house. I was a touring musician and never felt the need to buy a house, for the longest. So me and a couple friends actually teamed up. I owned, I think, 80% of my first house that I bought, and a couple other friends bought in, and I totally sold them on the idea and convinced them, as hard as that was. And then we went on that first house, Airbnb'd it, tons of challenges. There were, in the first month, some kids rented that house out and threw like a 300-person kegger, and the neighborhood was totally the neighborhood hated me right off the bat for Airbnb that house. So that one did well, but it didn't last long. But it did well enough to where I could get my second house. And then once my party business started doing really well, which I guess that's another half of my venture. I was able to use those profits and invest in the more properties. And, 2 years later, I was at 9 properties worth $5 million, and each property was cash flowing. But it was all supposed to just be a way to make money and to, not have to work for the man, and then eventually save up money for doing what the ultimate goal is. And that's building my own estate where I can throw these lavish parties and do weddings and events like that. So, and that's where I'm at now. We can, dive into that next big phase. But yeah, the real estate thing's been interesting. And we don't just do Airbnb. We've switched to long-term renters. We had an actress from Law and Order rent out one of my houses, which was pretty interesting. So we won't get it. I won't say who she is, but just to kind of keep it anonymous. But it was interesting. Yeah, it's been an interesting run so far, but it's been fun.
So I didn't know about the Moxy, you mute your microphone.
Sorry.
So I want to know a little bit about the process of getting not approved, but like the ups and downs of Airbnb just seem, as a host, kind of, I don't know if it's worth it, because you have to, be there to clean the place. You have to make sure that the guests are there. You have to deal with any complaints. So other than the Rager that you had, what's one of the like scary stories or something where you thought to yourself, oh man, I don't know if this is worth it with the Airbnb world?
The biggest challenge, because all of my houses were pretty big. They were like 5-6 bedrooms. They all had pools and hot tubs and all these great amenities, which is cool. But that was just party central. I mean, the biggest thing in Airbnb is the biggest challenge, I think, with houses of that size is dealing with the parties and the havoc it creates with neighbors and homeowners associations. That was a real challenge for us to get through for sure. And, on some of those houses, it forced me to kind of go away from Airbnb and just go with long-term renters. And, I even sold my first house. I actually just sold and immediately bought a really small house. I still Airbnb that small house now, but it kind of made me shift. But yeah, it is a challenge. I think the pros to it is you can make more revenue. It is more lucrative to Airbnb, but it is a lot more work. So you're doing the check-ins. I do have cleaners that I hire. In the beginning, I was doing that stuff in my house. I was scrubbing toilets well into my second year. I still, to this day, sometimes will go in and clean a house. I'm not above that by any means. I'll scrub toilets, especially when we stay in our cabin, up in Blowing Rock in this mountain town, North Carolina. We have this awesome cabin. We'll just clean that. I'll still scrub a toilet and everything. So it's pretty unique. But the biggest challenge, I think, were those parties. I mean, I still have like pictures from some of these parties that were thrown. Probably the biggest one, there's been a few of these, but the most recent was Labor Day weekend. It was the last Airbnb I was doing at this property before I shifted to a long-term renter. And these people showed up. They bussed in 5 different people. I mean, it was 5 different buses of people. I guess they had like advertised some big party. They had a bouncer at the door, like security working the door. They were charging tickets. They were charging for alcohol, which is completely illegal. Like you can't just sell alcohol, and then they had a DJ outside. I mean, there were hundreds and hundreds of people in a neighborhood house, and so, and I actually I play hockey. I play for 3 different hockey teams, and I had a hockey tournament that weekend, and I had just closed on this cabin up 2 hours away, and I'm heading to a hockey tournament, and the police and all the neighbors are like calling me, and I'm just like, I can't really do anything about it now. Like we just, have to shut it down. But they actually got kicked out. That's the only time I've ever had to actually evict an Airbnb, and it was really interesting. But yeah, there's huge nightmarish stories about that. But that's the challenge, I think, is just getting some of those. I mean, for the smaller properties, you don't really have those problems, but the bigger ones you definitely do. So, but now we're in a much better spot. I think we've kind of, found a way to calm all that down for sure.
That's good. That's really good. Yeah, I can imagine having to maintain that. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I mean, everything else is just like, you walk in, a place will be just totally trashed, beer on the floor, stuff like that. But typically it's pretty good. It's not too bad.
Well, before we jump into some of the other stuff that you do, which is incredible, and I need to make it out for some of the stuff that you do here. Moxy, it's time for signature question numero uno.
All right. All right, Jason. So before we started recording, you asked how we came up with this podcast. And this isn't going to answer that question. Actually, it'll probably confuse you more. But it is a very important part of what we do. So I have one of the first of 3 incredibly important questions for you. It's been a while since we've done this.
I'm not scared. Do it. Ask away. You can ask me.
All right, Jason. What is your favorite taco?
Favorite taco? Do you want me to go like brand or like restaurant, or just soft versus crunchy?
Whatever feels right to you, my friend.
Gosh, favorite taco. Man,
I feel like you incorporate like the Jeopardy music for this question.
I would say
food.
It's either prison tacos or high school tacos. I'm just kidding. I never went to prison. No, I would say best tacos would be. Didn't we have? Just because for this podcast, the tacos I had in Mexico while on tour with Moxy and the Influence and Carbonite. I know I had tacos there at this at that first show we played. I know we did. We'll call it that.
Yeah. At that little cantina place.
It doesn't get more Mexican than Mexico, right? Like
It's true.
Find more authentic tacos than, Do you remember though, like when where we played in Mexico? I forget what city it was, but it was like all the pictures were the incredible view of the water. But if you had just turned around, you would have seen like a very different.
It was scary.
Yeah.
It was the hotel that we were staying in that night. I was scared to go to sleep. I was scared to be in the bed. Like we were hearing gunshots outside, and I was like, "What is happening?"
Those might have been fireworks.
But did you die? No.
Well, I'm still here, so that was fun. Mexico was one of the places we did 2 shows in one day, and the first one was like in the date. It was odd. I just remember it being odd because it was like a little lunchtime restaurant in the daytime upstairs, and a metal band.
Yeah, and then there was then the other show was more of a typical bar show, but it was interesting. But So question 2. Go ahead. Is there a question 2?
Oh, there is, but we're gonna make you wait for it.
Okay. No problem.
All right, so let's get more into the event planning business because Jason, as long as I've known you, you've been really into music. And a couple years ago, I remember seeing one of your parties kind of hitting the internet pretty hard. What inspired that first party? I'm going to let you explain the parties that you do a little bit.
Yeah, so it's actually a pretty melodramatic, story behind the first part. I think it was 2016. Back when I first met you, I was living in Florida, and I had met some girl back in West Virginia, back during my college years, and we had started talking and stuff like that. And my lease was ending in Florida, so I moved back to. Long story short, I moved back to West Virginia to kind of see where this, romantic, almost relationship might go. And I like this girl and all this, and I'd thrown parties back in college, like the typical keggers and stuff like that. But when you get into your late 20s, early 30s, you can't really throw keggers. It's not cool to do that anymore. So, trying to think up some cool like reunion party where all my friends could come back to the college town, and disguise that as like a way to throw like a cool party for this girl and stuff like that. But because she was Gatsby was her favorite book. The Great Gatsby was her favorite book. Other than that, I had never read it, didn't know much about it at all. So did this Gatsby theme, and I rented out this mansion and did these really cool tickets, and it sold out really fast up in my hometown. I was hoping she'd show up and all this stuff, and she didn't show up. It was like, so it was this big dramatic thing, and everyone was like, oh, and but I'm way past that now. So West Virginia didn't work out. I immediately hopped on a bus to go on this New England tour, ended up moving to Charlotte right after that. Totally left the girl and West Virginia, in the wind. And when I moved to Charlotte, I remember how great that party had went. And I had rented out another mansion here in Charlotte. That party did really well. And then the next step up was the next year was to Biltmore Estate, which is the biggest mansion, I think, I don't know, and maybe in the country or something like that, but it's one of the most infamous. If you don't know Biltmore, it's in Asheville, North Carolina. And then I did Gatsby 3 there, and that one really put me on the map. I made some pretty good revenue on that, and I invested that into my second house. And then we were rolling into 2020, and we were doing this Return to the 20s Gatsby 2020 theme, and we ended up blowing up. I mean, it was 4 nights. There was 77,000 people going on our Facebook page. It just blew up, put the whole thing on the map. I think we ended up making over $1 million in revenue. And that's what really, I used those profits and, invested more into real estate, got that going. Unfortunately, those parties never happened. Those 4 sold out nights never happened because of COVID. We were 2 weeks away, I think less than 2 weeks away in March to doing them. And we had to reschedule to October. Of course, that didn't happen. Now we've rescheduled into April of 2021. And now it's a question mark as to whether that's happening. So everything I've done, all of my real estate ventures, I never meant to get into real estate investing. It's something that it was always a means to an end to kind of build my own mini Biltmore called Grayside Chateau is actually what we're about to build. And, it's going to have our own weddings and my own events and themes and stuff like that. And it all sounds like a huge pipe dream. A lot of people and friends and several other years just kind of rolled their eyes at it for the longest time, but now it's happening. So it's really exciting for everybody who's kind of supported it for a long time. And that's where we're at now. So yeah, it's pretty cool stuff. A lot of good memories and ups and downs to kind of get to where we are now, for sure.
Yeah, that is really cool. So tell us more about the Gatsby party, because I have seen the pictures. I've seen like the elaborate costumes.
Yeah.
I've seen the website and everybody wanting to go. I mean, this is like the party of the nation.
Yeah.
People fly in from out of town for these parties.
Yeah, I mean, and not just out of town. I mean, there are people who have flown from Paris. People come from California, Alabama, Tennessee, Alaska, Minnesota, from all over the country. I think it was like 17 different states that people had come to for these events. And so, yeah, it's really exciting. And it's not just the young people. We have people as young as 17 who have come, people as old as 75. I think it was a 70-year-old and 80-year-old couple had come. And it's not weird at all. It's not this. There is a huge age gap, but everybody fits in. There's this like sort of this just sort of like magic that there's always been about it. And it has nothing to do with me. It really doesn't. It has nothing to do with, it's like, yeah, the costumes and the mansion and all that stuff is great. That's what brings people to it. But the people who leave it, I think they remember this magical thing that they felt, and it's just the connection that they have to each other. As like cliche as that sounds, it's just this, I think everybody lets loose, and as an adult, there's not a whole lot of times where you can kind of have a prom again. That's kind of what this is like this lit wedding reception without the wedding, or this lit prom. Some people didn't even get to have a prom. So they're in their adult years. They get to dress up and have a good time, and they're drinking a little bit. So everybody's just feeling loose, and they, I don't know, there's this sort of feeling of magic that kind of comes with that. And my feeling has always been, one of the things I've always had with these is, a party is only as good as the people that come to it. And that's true. You can have the best streamers, all the best decor and the coolest mansion and limos and all this stuff if you want. But if you don't have good people, your party's going to suck. So, but yeah, that's one thing we have for sure is we've always been able to capture some kind of magic. And that's what I think has kept people coming back.
Well, there's some stuff that I want to talk to you about here in just a second I don't know if you agreed to talk about this yet. We're going to find out here in just a second, but it is time for signature question numero dos. So Moxy, take it away, please.
All right. Signature question number 2 is a little bit harder. Are you ready, Jason?
That's what she said.
Oh my gosh.
I'm ready. I got it.
All right. Jason, if you had a life quote, what would it be? And you can take some time to answer this one. It's a little bit harder.
A life quote. Jeez. Other than the one I just gave you?
Yeah, you could use that one. That one was really good.
Honestly, there's one that I don't know. I don't know if I came up with it or if I just heard something similar and put it in my own words. But one I've always lived by. It seems totally cheesy, but I'm going to say it anyway. But it's, you only find greatness whenever you make yourself eligible for it. and when you really kind of break that down, that's something that I've really lived my life by is, the people who truly find greatness and do great things are the ones who actually have accepted the fact that they're eligible for it, that they can do it. And that's something that I've really applied to my life, no matter how ridiculous these visions and dreams are. I mean, there's a way to do it. And, you just got to treat people well. You got to follow through on your word and believe you can do things. And eventually you'll get there. So that's what I've really, like I said, as cheesy as it sounds ridiculous, but like, that's something that I've really applied to my life. And I think it's helped so far.
Oh, we love it, man.
I think that was supposed to be a funny question. I got really serious.
No, this is serious.
I promise the next answer will be really, really lighthearted. It won't be so.
Okay. I'll hold you to that.
So, I'm reading here the little bio that Moxy either put together or you sent her. But it says here you have a real estate portfolio worth $5 million. Can I have $1 million of those dollars?
Man, you could. I mean, once I sell a couple of those houses, and what that means is the portfolio. If you were to take, all the houses and add their values, it's at about $5 million. So, maybe one day you'll get a check from me for $1 million just for asking. So,
that would make my life. But no, on a more serious note, one of the things that, and you don't have to answer any of these questions if you don't want to, because they're a little bit more personal. But there was a while there where it seemed like, I don't know how to say this without sounding like a dick. It seemed like you're kind of like, what happened?
Yeah, just throw it out there. Yeah, there's no.
Yeah, I'm more curious because it seems like a lot more people are in the similar boat where they're kind of waiting for that girl, and it seemed like there's a while there where you had a bit of a hopeless romantic type side to you.
Yeah.
Saying that kind of carefully because I don't know if that's really the right words.
Wow,
but recently, I believe in the last year or so, maybe 2 years, you entered in a relationship with this gorgeous woman.
Oh my gosh, she's stunning.
Yeah, she's here right now. I hope she hears what you guys are saying about her.
like she's honestly like one of the prettiest girls I've ever seen. And I'm like, when I saw that you were in a relationship, I was like, hell yeah, like the good guy gets one,
Yeah.
So I kind of, as a guy who's been single for a couple of years now, some motivation would be nice here. So I guess the question is, how'd you get the girl, and where can I find one for myself?
And I was gonna kind of give her a shout out on the third Gatsby party. She let me back up here. Let me get all my details straight here. But so she was living in Asheville, where the Biltmore was, and Biltmore Beacon magazine had reached out to us and wanted to do this photo shoot and big front page write up on the event because it was getting pretty big. And she was one of the models. I met her because she was one of the two models that we're doing the photo shoot with. So we met her through that. And then at the same time, I had put out an ad on Facebook needing kind of a day of show assistant for the party. And we got a ton of people who wanted the job, but most of them were from like out of state and, from Chicago and everywhere else. So it didn't really make sense to fly somebody in, and she had applied for it and she was already involved, as a model. And then she lived in Asheville. So, it just made sense. And she had you can just tell she was really good with people. So she was my assistant for that. And she was actually in at the tail end of a relationship at that time. So there wasn't anything really, anything going on at that point. But, through the Gatsby party, I think, Gatsby 3, we had met through that. And then even when it was over, we had not really spoken much for 5 months after that. Like I said, she was still on the back end of a relationship. And then in 5 months, she was not in that relationship anymore. And we had reconnected. We had actually met up for tacos, right? We had met at this little Mexican place here in Charlotte and caught up and sparked. We were out there at that Mexican place for like 4 hours. No joke, like literally 4 hours. talking, and we went back. Of course, I had my Porsche convertible at the time, so it was cool. We got to like drive around with the top down, and we went back and just talked, outside on my pool, and just reconnected, and everything went great. And next thing you know, we were together, and we've been together for, gosh, a year and a half. And I think next week we get to go Hawaii. Finally we get to go to Hawaii. We've been
Nice.
Yeah, got COVID wrecked, but we've had to reschedule like 4 times because of COVID. But yeah, it's gone great for sure. But that is cool. I think that's not personal at all. Like we were just talking about how, my hopeless romantic days, and how, how I've kind of changed since then. Not that I've come like some cold-hearted exterior or anything like that, but yeah.
So inquiring minds, not me, by the way, want to know, how'd you get her though? Like, what did you do? Like, what was the sales pitch? Like there has to be something that we all can do to get the girl. So
Ruben, when you look this good, sometimes good things just happen to you.
I mean, hold on.
You only find greatness when you make yourself eligible for it.
Let me stop you there for a minute, okay? It's not fair. You have $5 million, okay? Whether it's tied up in real estate or not, it's a different story. You got this great Gatsby party. You have a hot girlfriend. You had a nice car until recently. Hopefully the insurance takes care of that.
Yeah. They got it done.
Oh, good. So you have say something for the rest of us, man.
No, man, it's tough. I mean, for the longest time I was, musician, barely getting by, like say you just got to keep clawing away and find things that work for you. And also this, like I said, all this stuff is total cheese, but it's true. Like it's very cheesy, but I mean, a lot of these things are totally true. Like I went through self-improvement phase after self-improvement phase, and not just with, working in the gym or, all that kind of stuff. It's just getting better at relationships, and also how to react, not be so emotional, and, just trying to improve in every which way you can, and I think that's something I did for the longest time. In fact, when I first met, Moxy and the girls in the band and stuff like that, when we started working together, I was, deep inside those self-improvement phases for sure. So it just took a lot of reinventing yourself, but also staying true to what you believe in, if that makes sense, and you can really become whatever you want to be while still keeping core values, at the same time. And so I don't know, she thinks I'm cool for some reason. So
that's good.
That really matters.
Yeah.
Let's jump into question numero tres.
Alrighty. All right. So this is the third and final signature question.
Better be good too.
This one, honestly, this is the most important question. This will determine whether or not I ever support any of your ventures. So, just to FYI.
Got it.
All right. So this is the reason behind the podcast, and we can explain that to you later. But this is the make or break question, and it is: can you have more than one best friend
outside of significant others and family members?
I thought you said family members.
I think you can. I really do. Like,
can't. Sorry, you cut out there.
Yeah, he said can.
Because
you cut out. Sorry, one more time. Moxy, don't talk.
Yeah, I think you can. I really think you can have more than one. I mean, I think my girlfriend in a lot of ways is my best friend. We spend the most time together. Then you got, siblings and all that. But you know what? Like, I also searched far and wide for the perfect dog for a long time. And I can honestly say in a lot of ways, my dog is my best friend. Like, so, as weird as that sounds, like he's the greatest pup. So I think you can have, who's to, limit number of best friends? Who are we to do that? Right.
I agree, Jason.
Yeah.
Well, nobody buy tickets to the Gatsby party because
my gosh.
I am canceling Jason. You can keep your $1 million, buddy.
All right, man.
Any permission to turn that down?
I am. I just did. All right. So as of right now, the Gatsby party is scheduled for April 2021. Where can people find some information? I know that they're all sold out, but where can people find some information in case, ticket comes available or they want to try to jump the fence or something?
Yeah, so the GatsbyParty.com is always the best place. It's where you can find videos of former parties and stuff like that. And I will say this is fresh news. I don't know if this is saying too much, but we actually have there's another Gatsby party in New York City who's trying to say, hey, you can't use the title of the Gatsby party. So
oh my gosh.
Really? How many Gatsby parties are there? There's tons of them. You're coming. So we've grown so big that the other big one in New York City is hey, take down, you can't use the term Gatsby party. So surely there's a way we can coexist, and we'll find that out. But interesting stuff. This is all the stuff that, you get in the business, and whenever you elevate, I guess people get pissed. They want
you're successful when other people come and start suing you or start threatening legal action.
So yeah, for sure. But I think that's yeah. So like I said, as long as COVID willing, we're hoping April 2021. If not, we'll just postpone. But hey, you know what? Now that Biden's in office, we should, I think everything's going to magically.
Stars will align. Yes.
Hey, they're Cuomo in New York's already saying it's time to open up the restaurants. So it's only a matter.
In Maryland, where I'm from, the governor there, literally the day Biden was in office, he was like, I think it's time to get our kids back in school. It's time to open up restaurants and get kids back in school. He said there's no reason why we can't have kids in school. So it's like everyone, what? Why now? I don't know. We won't.
Who's the governor out there?
How political does this podcast get?
Not really, but who's the governor out there?
Hogan. I don't know his first name.
Larry Hogan.
Yeah, Hogan.
That guy's a tool. But awesome. Hey, dude, tell everybody where they can find you on social media.
So I am on Instagram. I'm more of a Facebook, Instagram junkie. I don't do a lot of Twitter. I'm on there, but Instagram, I'm Jace of Base. So Jace.of.base. And then Facebook, I'm on there. Look me up. So I'm not on TikTok. I haven't taken that plunge yet. I don't think my girlfriend will be on TikTok anyway. So
yeah, don't do it. Don't do it. It's not worth it. All right. Yeah. Hey, well, thanks for doing this, but stay on for a quick second, right? And that was our interview with Jason Lottman. Make sure to follow him on all of his social medias. Real quick, Moxy, can you tell everybody about one of our very good sponsors over at Amazon?
So Amazon is the best place to support the podcast. It is the easiest way to support the podcast. And it's probably by doing something that you do all the time anyway. So what you're going to do is you're going to go down to the description in the bottom, and you're going to click the link in that description that says support us on Amazon. And when you do that, it's just going to take you to Amazon. That's literally all it does. It just takes you to Amazon, but the coding within that link, what it does is it gives us 10% of whatever you purchase in your cart from clicking that link. So basically, here's the breakdown if you didn't understand that, which I probably wouldn't have understood it. What you do is click the link, open Amazon, put something in your cart, and then buy it. Seems simple, right? Yeah. So what I typically do is when I'm doing all of my searching or anything like that, I figure out what I want to get. I do all my research. I add a bunch of things to the cart, and then I narrow down what I'm going to actually end up getting. And then I close Amazon completely. I click that link that I have bookmarked in the top bar on my computer screen. I use Google Chrome, and I bookmarked it right on top. And then I click it, and I just complete the purchase. And it's great. It gives us a couple cents maybe, unless you're buying something that's several $100s on Amazon, which don't do that, generally speaking.
Do it.
So if you do that, That is a super easy way. Again, that's a super easy way to help support the podcast, to give us a little bit of cash. And it just makes us feel good mostly.
It's probably the cheapest way, other than just listen to the podcast, for you to support the podcast. You always go over to
Dollar in the jar.
.com and subscribe, become one of our super fans. We're looking forward to hanging out with you guys there. We will be announcing, to FYI, a live stream exclusive for our friends over at
Dollar in the jar.
.com. So make sure to subscribe today to one of our top tiers to be a part of that live stream.
Yes, please do. Please do. Right. We need more people to interact with. We need more best friends.
We're only allowed to have one best friend, but sure. Let's go with that. Also, we do have a tier there called executive producer. And if you sign up for that role, we will give you a shout out as an executive producer way before we give Moxy any credit as an executive producer. She doesn't even do anything. She doesn't do anything in that level at all. I mean, she just, every now and then she'll come up with a good idea or whatever. But if you want to be an executive producer like me, head over to
Dollar in the jar.
.com and subscribe to our executive producer tier.
I literally hate you so much. You created something specifically to spite me.
Did it work?
Yes.
Oh man, Jason's a great guy, isn't he?
He is. He really is. I'm so glad that we thought of bringing him on the show at the exact same time.
We should tell that story.
Yeah. So he
actually, you know what? Hold on. We're going to tell a story in overtime over at
Dollar in the jar.
.com. So if you want to hear that story, make sure to head over to
Dollar in the jar.
.com. Dude, careful.
I am not in my normal space. It's not set up the way I normally like it, and I had to hit my hand against the microphone again. That was
Dollar in the jar.
.com. I think we're both waited for each other. So we're doing some overtime exclusive questions with Jason over at
Dollar in the jar.
Oh crap, I said it.
Rookie mistake. Hey, I'm looking forward to continuing this podcast with all of our friends and so much more. But Moxy, we have one last thought before we go.
So our last thought for today's show comes from two sources, actually. As we said in the beginning of the show, we are currently on an app called Clubhouse. And if you haven't gotten on Clubhouse yet, it can be a little confusing at first, but reach out to us if you need an invite, or maybe don't. Ruben might get mad at me for saying that.
No invites. $12 per invite.
So, but Clubhouse is pretty awesome because it allows everyone to network with each other, to meet cool people, and to just connect on a really real level. You can connect with people who you never would get a chance to talk to in real life. So today's quote comes from something that Rick Barker said in his morning show on Clubhouse this morning. Rick Barker was Taylor Swift's former manager. He was super instrumental in launching her career. He now owns an indie music publishing thing. Basically, he owns a company that helps indie musicians get their careers off the ground and gives a lot of advice. So I follow him on Clubhouse. I've been in a couple of his rooms. He's great. And he started off this morning with a quote from Marie Forleo. She is described by Oprah as a thought leader for the next generation. And this quote is, "The key to success is to start before you're ready." Ruben, what do you think about that?
Well, it's a thought. Before no. What was the quote? I didn't hear it.
Nice. The key to success is to start before you're ready. I personally really liked this quote because it reminded me of starting this podcast. Because
I was just about to say, who does that remind you of?
I knew nothing about podcasting, and Ruben was just like, "Let's go." So
I was like, "Let's go."
Yeah. But I really loved that quote. That really inspired me, and got my rear in gear this morning at 7 a.m.
Awesome. Well, Did you see it another one, or is that just the one?
No, it's just that one. It's
All right.
from
Perfect.
it's from Marie Forleo, but Rick Barker told it to us this morning.
So it's a double whammy for the price of one.
Boom, boom.
Hey, you know what? Make sure to follow us on social media. I'm at the Ruben Jay on everything.
And I am at Moxy Ann. And Moxy Ann. I don't know my own handle. Moxy Ann Music.
Say that one more time, Mox.
And I'm at Moxy Ann Music on everything.
And of course, you can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, and pretty much anywhere podcasts are available. And if there's a spot that you like to listen to podcasts and we're not there, shoot us an email. Our email is in the description down below. Let us know. We'll submit ourselves to that podcasting platform ASAP.
That being said, how are you listening to this if we're not on your favorite podcasting platform? Seriously, how did you find us?
That's pretty awesome, actually. If you found us by via the white pages or something, please let us know.
White pages?
Yeah, white pages. It's a book.
I know what the white pages are.
Filled with a bunch of white people's phone numbers.
I don't think that's right.
Or no, it definitely is white.
Well, no, I mean it's white, but it's not right.
Are you saying white ain't right?
Never mind. This is too much for me to handle.
All right. My name is Ruben Jay.
And I'm Moxy Ann.
And we are out of time.
Out of time.
We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Why are we both having strokes in the middle of our show?
Oh, no. I'm Moxy Ann Music.
I'm Moxy Ann. Moxy Ann. I don't even know what I am. All right. Bye. Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of You're My Best Friend. Be sure to subscribe to us on your favorite podcasting platform and leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. The executive producer and editor of the show is, well, me, Ruben Jay. Social media strategy and guest relations is done by Moxy Ann. Music is brought to you by Benstown Branding. Be sure to follow You're My Best Friend on Instagram by going to @BestFriendPodcast. And on Facebook by going to facebook.com/The Best Friend Show. And you can support the show by putting a $1inthejar.com. You're My Best Friend is a MultiMediaMouth.com production in association with Music and the Influence LLC. Copyright 2021.